Exclusive contract from Feilu Novel Network Novel. Football. What's wrong with going to the nightclub? I must score a goal. Su Luo Rebirth 2013 World Youth Championship. At the beginning, awaken the Daluo template, and 100% of your shots must be scored. Leading the national youth team to the finals in an invincible manner, but being expelled from the national football team for going to a nightclub. Su Luo is not satisfied, he still wants to go to the nightclub. Go to the nightclub once, awaken the Harland template, and fight at full level. Go to nightclubs 5 times, awaken Modric template, pass success rate 100%, go to nightclubs 10 times, awaken Messi's template, and have a 100% success rate in passing. Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Manchester City and other top clubs have been hammered by the little Prince of Nightclubs. Guardiola. Following the rules of the world's top 10, going to a nightclub is the number 1 in the world. Klopp. Suolo was caught by reporters picking up girls in a nightclub yesterday. It's over, this one's goneWenger. It's okay for you to go to Arsenal every day. Moldy mouth, widow sister, Wanda. After having sex yesterday, he really became stronger. The national football team's intestines are all bruised. Su Luo, come back, we don't care about you anymore. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. The Rise of Chinese New Stars in the World Youth Championship, Strong. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Zhongyang TV. Zhongyang TV. This is the live broadcast of the knockout stage of the 19th FIFA U-20 World Cup, where the Chinese youth team will face the semi-finals of Nanhan U-20. At this year's Turkey World Youth Championship, China's U-20 youth team emerged as the biggest dark horse. CCTV commentator Shen Fangjian sat in the live commentary seat of Twerky Trabzong, feeling extremely excited as never before. Just a month ago, the main lineup of the Chinese national football senior team had just lost 1.5 to the third-tier Asian team, Siamese Elephants, at the home stadium of Luzhou, becoming a laughingstock for the entire Asia. General fans' phrase, "no more face," spread throughout the country, becoming the darkest moment of the national football team. Shen Fangjian never even thought that 10 years later, General Fan's interview had become an internet meme. The Chinese national football team not only did not rebound from the bottom, but also fell further into the abyss. In short, at a time when national teams are extremely disappointed with the Chinese national football team, I didn't expect that on the field of the Turkey World Youth Championship, the U-20 national youth team has brought hope to everyone. Firstly, the national youth team miraculously broke through and entered the main stage of the World Youth Championship. Guiqing was assigned to Group C of the Death Group. Opponents in the same group are terrifying Colombia, Mexico, and the host country Turkey. Everyone thought that the national youth team was already outstanding enough, and they would definitely lose 3 in the main stage and return home. Who knew that the national youth team had tricked and launched a counterattack, killing the strong enemies of America and Europe all the way? In the first group stage match against Colombia, the Chinese youth team scored 2 goals in the 80th minute of the second half, trailing 0.1. 2. Defeat Colombia in a comeback. This South American powerhouse has eliminated teams from Brazil and Argentina. After the first battle, the Chinese media was also ignited with enthusiasm, offering praise one after another. But there are still people who see the declining national youth team as lucky. Looking at the goal collection, the Chinese youth forward Su Luo, who scored twice, both goals were from outside the penalty area. It's pure dog poop luck. Indeed, the Chinese national football team has a disappointing habit and cannot suddenly become stronger. But the next second scene is a bit unbelievable. Facing the strong North American enemy Mexico, the national youth have won again. After 90 minutes of hard defense, it was Suolo 9 who scored a stunning victory against Mexico in the last minute of stoppage time. He shot a divine 0-degree volley into the air, shocking everyone. Continuously defeating the American duo, the Chinese youth immediately caught the attention of the world football world. How can an inconspicuous little ant overturn a giant? Especially Su Luo, who scored 3 goals, where did he come from? With countless mysteries, fans are eagerly anticipating the third game. Unfortunately, in the third game, the glory of the Chinese youth team faded and they were defeated by the host team Turkey with 3 goals. The 0.3 score also became the basis for fans to attack the national youth team. Indeed, it still has a familiar taste. The national football team cannot rely on it from top to bottom. I said the first 2 games were luck, right? The Chinese national football team specializes in facial recognition. Magical forward Suolo was inexplicably placed on the bench and did not play for the entire 90 minutes. After the game, Chinese youth coach Yankovic refused to be interviewed, only politely stating that this was the decision of the team's management. This has also become a mystery for the world football media, and no one knows why Chinese youth self-deprecate their martial arts. As the second-place team in the group, Guangxi faced the powerful bullfighting army of Spain in the quarter-finals. This year's Spanish U20 is a big favorite to win the championship. Real Madrid's new Cristiano Ronaldo, Hesse. Manchester United's main goalkeeper David De Gea. Cavahar, the right iron gate favored by Real Madrid. Atletico Madrid midfielder Coke. La Masia genius Thiago. There are also Isco, Rodrigo, Morata, Trello. It's like a shining star, the future all-star. On the other hand, only Su Xin, who was trained at Atletico Madrid, was able to make a move for the national youth team. The other members are all embarrassed to use it. Faced with such a huge disparity in strength in the game, the whole world is counting on Spain U20 to wash away the youth of the country. I think Spain can win 5.0. Be bold, maybe 8.0. Conservatively predict a 3.0 victory. 4.1 Without any suspense, Guangxi seems to have been sentenced to death. The result of this quarter-finals was shocking. Spain surprisingly drew 3.3 within 90 minutes. After regular time ended, even many football stars such as Morata, Thiago, and Cork were foolish. Spanish giants Xavi and Iniesta exclaimed in the commentary that it's impossible. Harvey. I really can't understand this game. What kind of magic do Easterners have? The most dazzling is still the national youth number 9, Su Luo, who has returned from the ban. Hat trick. Every time Spain scores a goal, he always manages to equalize the score by scoring crucial goals with color. Dragging the game into extra time. What's even more outrageous is here. In extra time, the national youth team was forced to send off one person and fall behind 3.4. In extra time, he scored 2 goals in the last minute of injury time. The total score is 5.4, with a strong victory over Spain. Shocking the world. Sulo, 4 goals and 1 assist. Completely shine at the World Youth Championship and perform at a divine level. Thanks to him, the national youth team miraculously advanced to the semi-finals and faced their old opponent, Nanhan team. Can the 40-year-long fear of Korea be cured today? Commentator Shen Fangjian couldn't help but walk out of his memories, watching the players from both sides appear with excitement. The top Chinese youth star walking at the end of the team, with a slender figure, a jade-like face, and a cold and stern temperament. Whether he can get rid of fear of Korea depends on his performance. The on-site close-up shots also showed the 2 key figures in the scene, Sun Xingxin, who was selected as an overage player in the South Han U20. And the mysterious and unpredictable national youth number 9 striker. Su Luo. Shen Fangjian noticed that Su Luo in the close-up shot didn't seem so excited. In fact, facing the camera that hit her face, Su Luo was thinking of a very important question. Last night's investigation was strict and I didn't go to the nightclub. Can I still be in good shape today? If I had known to be reborn, I wouldn't have played football anymore. Forget it, since it's just hitting a stick, even if you're not in the mood, you'll have to beat yourself to death. Fuck him. Chapter 2. Awakening the Daluo template. Shooting is 100% guaranteed. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Upon waking up, Su Luo dreamt back 10 years ago from 2023. At the age of 16, youth is just right. He remembered clearly that he did not give money to the coach and team leader, and was expelled from the Yuehai Hengtai U.18 youth team. Afterwards, in a fit of anger, he gave up football and focused on getting into a university, becoming one of the many white-collar social workers. Watching the Chinese national football team gradually fall into the abyss, completely losing its vitality. What's going on with this layer of red war robe? Even embroidering the national flag. After the fusion of memories, Su Luo finally realized that the timeline had shifted from this moment. He was not fired because the national youth team needed to recruit young players to participate in the U20 World Youth Championship qualifiers. In fact, this kind of undisclosed, exhausting, and fierce competition is not a good thing for some young players. The reputation of the Chinese national football team has been tarnished, and they have also lost in the past. It's better to stay at the club and lie down to receive wages. The other forwards of Hengtai team are pretending to be injured and refusing to play. The club also wants to protect these key players and does not want them to play. After much thought, Su Luo was simply called back and asked the 16-year-old to sign up for the U20 National Youth League. Su Luo, if you want to play for your country, just play well and live up to the red flag on your body. In the training base, he is the youngest and indeed the most hardworking and serious one. Even in the face of ridicule from other players, Su Luo gritted his teeth and insisted on demanding himself as a professional player as much as possible. On the first day of the training, he was pulled by his national youth teammates to the nightclub. I didn't originally want to go, but Su Xian, who returned from Atletico Madrid, was quite kind and secretly told him. If you don't want to be isolated, it's best to go with the flow. Yes, the overall environment is polluted. You are aloof, but aren't you being excluded by others? As a team sport, without anyone passing the ball, what are the opportunities for performance? Unable to do anything, Su Luo had to follow his teammates to the nightclub. These people are all regulars now, but the security guard at the entrance didn't stop Su Luo, who was clearly underage. With his delicate and handsome appearance, he has received many approached girls with heavy makeup. The deafening subwoofer and flickering lights were almost tearing apart Suolo's soul, which had not yet fully fused. Suddenly, Su Luo found some mysterious state. The whole world has become pure. The surrounding environment is no longer a cluttered nightclub, but an empty green field. The most deadly thing is that besides Su Luo, there is also an unexpected figure in the green field. Peak Daluo. Alien Ronaldo. He, like his peak in 2002, has not yet gained weight and has shaved off all around his head, leaving only a pinch of hair on his forehead. Before Su Luo could react, Daluo rushed towards him with the ball. In an instant, the clock passed clean. Su Luo couldn't get out for a while, so she decided to play with Daluo. The nickname Alien is not for nothing. Daluo has 100 ways to pass Su Luo and then kick into the goal behind him with a burst shot. Su Luo also exerted himself, carefully observing Daluo's movements and trying to defend him. Just like this, Su Luo fought against Daluo's mirror image. After some time, Su Luo was almost exhausted, and the illusion gradually lifted. He returned to the nightclub. That night, Su Luo even dreamed of sparring with Daluo. Just 2 days later, the Chinese youth team welcomed their first match against their old rival Qatar U.20 youth team. Head coach Yankovic has no confidence in a steady win. He plays a coach in the back, hoping to draw with Cartier. In the first half, Qatar scored 2 goals. In the 77th minute of the second half, forward Wu Xinghan from Luoning suffered from physical exhaustion. Yankovic looked around and decided to let Su Luo, who had been training diligently, play. This is Su Luo, a person of 2 generations, standing on the real field for the first time. Wearing a red robe representing national honor. At first, he didn't quite adapt. The opponent's fight was like killing someone, and the ball under his feet was broken twice. The whole person also runs like a headless fly. The on-site fans and the head coach did not expect this 16-year-old striker to create any miracles. In the 85th minute of the game, the Chinese youth team made a big kick in the backcourt and directly found Su Luo's head. In an instant, Su Luo instinctively learned from Daluo's touch, gracefully stopping and dribbling, and even broke through Cartier's defense. 25 meters away from the goal, the portal is open. Su Luo seemed to be possessed by Dalai Lama, and in that state of unity between heaven and man, he had a strong premonition. Even if the heavenly King Laozi comes, he can't stop this ball. Bang! One shot from outside the penalty area. Hanging straight at the dead corner of the goal. The gatekeeper of Cartier didn't even have time to react. Su Luo scored his first goal in his youth debut. The whole venue suddenly petrified. Coach Yankovic couldn't believe his eyes. Atletico Madrid midfielder Su Luo excitedly rushed over to celebrate with Su Luo. Did I really score a goal? It wasn't until this moment that Su Luo had a strong sense of achievement. He represents the national youth and saves a goal. In the final stage of the competition, when Su Luo's spirit was most tense, Daluo's possession became clearer. Sulo seems to be cheating, scoring another goal before the end of the game. Equalized the score. In the face of strong headwinds, Guoqing successfully scored 1 point with a score of 2.2. Su Luo, who scored twice, also won a starting position with his miraculous performance. Next, Su Luo can be considered as a god and a ghost. The state of being possessed by the Dalai Lama is sometimes absent. Thanks to his continuous goals, the national youth team managed to win several important matches and advanced to the main stage of the World Youth Championship 2 rounds ahead of schedule. Until then, Su Luo finally figured out the pattern of unstable state. Those Daluo possession and shots that must be scored. He and his teammates have been to nightclubs in the past 3 days. No wonder, wasn't it in the nightclub when I first woke up? That is to say next, for the football dream. We can only reluctantly indulge in extravagance and drinking. Brothers, let's go bungee jumping. Today, Mr. Su Luo will pay the bill for the entire venue. Su Luo. Meow meow meow. These young men who followed Su Luo to the nightclub couldn't imagine it either. They were able to pass the level from the death group and make it all the way to the top 4. Chapter 3. Breaking through the Bangzi Team. Unreasonable long-range shooting. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Since discovering the ability to become stronger by going to nightclubs, Sulo went from being a conscious child to becoming a leading nightclub prince. His relationship within the national youth team has become increasingly harmonious. Not only did he take his brothers to play, but he was also the thigh of the entire team. 90% of the goals scored in this tournament are handled by Su Luo. In the most desperate times, he always stands up. Those senior national youth who are several years older also have to be convinced of him. Some media also paid attention to Su Luo, call him Guoqing Si Luo, Huaxia Emperor Star. The team leader and head coach are gradually paying more attention to Suolo. Luhowever, team leader Guo Bingyan is always quite strict with Su Luo, pick out various faults for him like a primary school student. Su Luo once advised Su Luo to give a gift to the team leader or show filial piety according to the rules, which can make him feel better and his starting position more stable. Sulo doesn't care so much. Laozi's decision to start with a goal was made by Yankovic. What is it about him leading the team? Unfortunately, not long after, Su Luo was caught as a typical example. Although the whole team went to the nightclub, Su Luo became the target of punishment. He was penalized not to play in the group stage against Turkey. As expected, the national youth suffered a devastating 0-3 defeat. In the match against Spain, under the persuasion of Jankovic, the manager had to agree to Suolo's starting lineup. So they can miraculously overturn Spain and stand on the stage of the semi-finals. Unfortunately, team leader goneWenger strictly restricted the free activities of the entire team. Sulo hasn't been to the nightclub for a week. The semi-finals against Nanhan Bangzi rely on his own strength. Sulo remained calm at the moment, standing on the field with his right hand in his heart, singing the national anthem loudly. What else is there to fear? Braving the enemy's artillery fire. Move forward. Move forward. Move forward. After the passionate melody, there was sparse applause. Sulo arrived at the center circle, waiting for the game to officially start. This time, the National Youth League needs to pay attention to the two core players of Nanhan, the 12th Lu Qingyu and the 7th Sun Xingqian. Commentator Shen Fangjian is still quite nervous. Nanhan U20 was the champion of last year's Asian Youth Championship and also drew with Portugal in the group stage, defeating Cuba and Nigeria. The knockout stage was a penalty shootout to defeat the powerful Colombia and ultimately stand on the stage of the semi-finals. Sun Xingqian, who was selected as an overage player, and Lu Qingyu are both significant threats. Sun Xingqian has already made a name for himself in the Bundesliga's Hamburg team, becoming the core of the frontcourt attack. Lu Qingyu is also favored by many strong teams such as Leverkusen and Borussia Dortmund, with impressive strength. On the other hand, apart from the magical Su Luo and the returning Su Luo from Atletico Madrid, the rest of the national youth are not worth mentioning. This game can only rely on their performance. After the competition began, it was not surprising that the national youth were completely suppressed by Nanhan. Jankovic also conservatively made the players shrink back, leaving only Suolo to charge forward. Sulo is currently 16 years old and his physical fitness is not as good as other athletes. But his 100-meter speed is the first in the team, and he is the one who can run for 11 seconds. Unfortunately, after playing for 30 minutes in the first half, there was never a chance for Su Luo to take the ball. Guiqing couldn't even pass the half, and was overwhelmed by the South Korean team's passing and control tactics, as well as advanced high-pressure tactics, making it impossible to lift their heads. Since the rise of Borussia Dortmund and Atletico Madrid, the mad dog tactics brought by Klopp and Simone have gradually become popular on the international stage. The Nanhan team also consciously used old opponents like Guiqing for tactical exercises. They have a feeling of superiority when facing the national football team. The 40-year-long fear of Korea has caused the other party to experience some kind of aura suppression. The national youth players are also playing timidly, and the more they play, the less confident they become. The Nanhan team is gradually gaining momentum and continuously threatening the goal guarded by the national youth. Oh my! The intention to pass the ball was too obvious, and everyone in the backcourt wanted to find Su Luo, but they were intercepted by the opponent. The South Han team launched an attack and the ball was given to Sun Xingqian's feet. Sun Xingqian. It's shaking continuously on the left side, passing by. One more person. It's dangerous. The defender was shaken off center of gravity. Sun Xingqian. Just kicked outside the penalty area. Goalkeeper Fang Jingqi reacted quickly and saved the ball. Lu Qingyu shoots back. Woo! This ball is slightly higher than the crossbar, and the national youth have escaped a disaster. The goal ball came out and was intercepted by Nanhan again. Continue to launch a siege. Sun Xingqian. Break into the penalty area and hit the far corner. It's quite dangerous. The football is leaning off the pillar. During this period, the South Korean team has already figured out the shortcomings of the national youth team. They make full use of the gap in the right rib area, and Sun Xingqian continuously breaks through the inside cut to create scoring opportunities. If it weren't for Fang Jingqi, a young player from Evergrande, blocking the ball high up, and Nanhan's poor luck, it's possible that Guoqing would have conceded a goal. Shen Fangjian breathed a sigh of relief and wiped the fine beads of sweat on his forehead. Starting from the first minute of this game, his heart was always hanging in his throat. Nanhan's attack is very fierce and he has never been able to score. It seems that he may be able to breathe a little sigh of relief. But he was still too happy too early. In the 39th minute of the game, the continuously oppressed national youth defense still contributed greatly. The right back and center back made a coordination error and provided an own assist. Sun Xingqian didn't hesitate to accept this pass, took advantage of the situation and burst into the penalty area. He intercepted Su Xian, who was defending, and shot into the corner. Oh my! The ball is still lost. Sun Xingqian broke the deadlock in the 39th minute of the game. Guoqing still hasn't been able to play in midfield. The pressure on the defense is too great, and there are more and more mistakes. If we can maintain a one-goal gap, there is still a chance. Shen Fangjian's words in this match may have been unfounded. Only 3 minutes later, the Chinese national team made another mistake. South Han team made a pass, but the national youth defender cleared the ball and didn't kick far, kicking at the opponent's feet. Lu Qingyu took the opportunity to raise his foot and hit. 2-0. The national youth team fell behind by 2 goals in the first half and fell into crisis. With everyone feeling disheartened, perhaps only Su Luo is still struggling to find opportunities in the front field. Finally, before the end of the first half, the national youth team kicked a big foot into the front court, and the baton guard stepped up. Sulo has the ball. As the referee prepares to blow the whistle, the goalkeeper's position is also slightly forward. Without hesitation, Su Luo stood up straight from a position of 35 meters. Bang! The sudden shot left the whole field stunned. Shen Fangjian stood up directly. Su Luo. After stopping the ball, just take a long shot with your feet up. Are you being too reckless? However, such a stubborn shot flew towards the top corner of the goal like a shell. The status hasn't disappeared yet, let me in. At this moment, the Trabzon stadium was completely silent. Chapter 4. 10 beats 11, Extreme Equalization. Sulo God. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sleeping slot. Faced with the only chance for the national youth team in the first half, Su Luo surprisingly chose to shoot directly from 30 meters away. Coach Yankovic stood up from the chair on the spot, getting up too hard and hitting his head on the rain shelter. But he paid no attention to the pain and stared intently at the flight trajectory of the football. The South Korean players around Su Luo also didn't pay attention to this ball. They had originally planned to take advantage of Suolo's unstable ball stop and rush over to form a double. Anyway, the Chinese youth players have poor footwork. If they put in a little bit of intensity, they will lose the ball themselves. The South Han players looked at their opponents with a look of contempt and aloofness. They never looked down upon anyone in the National Youth League, including Su Luo, who was the top scorer in this tournament and scored 7 goals with 1 assist. At this moment, only Sun Xingqian noticed a hint of unhappiness. At the moment when Su Luo shot, his heart almost missed a beat. Shiba. Stop him. Unfortunately, he was 1 step late, and the football had turned into lightning, flying towards the goal. The Southern Han sect general is terrified. Why are you hitting the door now? Playing cards without following the routine. He jumped weakly, but failed to touch the ball and collapsed to the ground. Looking up at the reflection of the goal, I saw that terrifying football had already been heavily smashed onto the net. Everything happened too quickly, and neither commentator Shen Fangjian nor the live audience reacted. When Su Luo raised her arms and turned around to celebrate with Su Xian, Chinese fans who traveled thousands of miles to Turkey only then experienced a volcanic eruption, emitting excited roars. The ball is in. I can't believe it. It's the magical Sulo again. Before the end of the first half, he completed the only shot for the whole team. He scored a goal. A long-range heavy cannon 35 meters away pierced through the South Korean team's goal. In a desperate situation, it brings us hope. Who would have thought that this 16-year-old general had never participated in any major competitions before? If there were any miracles in the second half, his name would definitely be Suolo. Shiba, that kid's lucky too. Humph, isn't it just a defeated subordinate for decades? What's so remarkable? Why don't you block his shot? Who knew he would hit directly in that place? Enough. Stop making noise. At halftime, everyone in the locker room of the Bangzi team was indignant, as if being scored by the national youth team had become their shame. Captain Sun Xingqian seriously interrupted everyone. Remember, we are the leading team. In the second half, we showed our determination and made it to the finals. At this moment, the national youth are still immersed in the joy of Su Luo's goal. I haven't anticipated what will happen in the second half yet. Be careful behind. Ah. Damn it. Referee, why didn't he complain about a foul? Calm down. In the second half, as Suolo scored a goal, the smell of gunpowder on the field became more and more intense. Especially for the South Korean team, they have developed a consistent sportsmanship, with a significant increase in the range of hand and foot movements. The national youth players finally gained some morale and tried to launch an attack. But every time he was interrupted by the rude foul of the stick. What's even more frustrating is that the referee is like an esports player, turning a deaf ear to everything that happens on the field. The tackle with the bright soles of the Bangzi team's shoes is completely invisible, and even a slight move by the national youth team can be called a foul. For a moment, the scene suddenly became somewhat imbalanced. The few Chinese fans on site couldn't help but think of the performance of the South Korean team in the 2002 World Cup. Bangzi's traditional artistic ability has improved. That's it, this referee is a bit brazen. Guiqing may not be able to withstand it. Under the opponent's shameless fouls, the national youth's anger grew stronger and stronger. After Luoning's front waist was fiercely tackled, Wu Xinghan turned his head to argue with the opponent and pushed Lu Qingyu. The referee ignored the player who fouled and sent off a red card to Wu Xinghan. The scale of the referee's judgment is questionable. As a CCTV commentator, Shen Fengjian dare not speak too clearly. On the field, the fans were excited and loudly criticized the referee. Black whistle. Black whistle. Referee SB. Referee SB. Unfortunately, they were shouting in Chinese, and the referee from Ghana couldn't understand them at all. Under this unbalanced treatment, the mentality of the national youth is inevitably imbalanced. In addition, they played one less player and were quickly scored by Nan Han. Sun Xingqian's brace helped Bangzi expand their advantage and lead 3-1. Coach Yankovic shook his head and sat back on the coaching bench. In his opinion, the game has come to an end. There may still be two people on the field who haven't given up. Old Su, remember to leave the ball to me without thinking when you have it later, and I will handle it. With his previous miraculous performance, Su Xian has unconditionally believed in Su Luo. At this time, Nan Han is trying to preserve his energy for the final. They are only controlling the ball in midfield and not in a hurry to attack. The competition lasted for 72 minutes, and Su Xian finally found a chance. The intention of passing the stick to Sun Xingqian was obvious, but Su Xian approached and intercepted it. He remembered Su Luo's words and took advantage of the situation to find Su Luo, who had been inserted earlier, with a long pass. Su Xian went straight ahead and found Su Luo. The timing of Su Luo's forward thrust was quite perfect. Successfully reversed offside. Shen Fengjian was also excited at this moment. Su Luo. He's very fast, dribbling towards the penalty area with great strides. The opposing goalkeeper abandoned the goal. Single-shot ball. In the past, the single-goal failure of the Chinese national football team has become a nightmare. Even the fans couldn't bear to look straight at it. But that was in the past, now it's Su Luo who is single-handed. But I saw him face the goalkeeper with an unusually calm demeanor, his body swaying greatly from side to side. This extraordinary move. Shen Fangjian immediately remembered that retired football superstar. Daluo. Ronaldo. The pendulum style is amazing. Su Luo's significant swaying left and right made the goalkeeper lose focus and judgment. He took advantage of the situation and bypassed the goalkeeper, breaking into the penalty area to face an empty goal. The fans on the stands have already raised their hands and cheered excitedly. Sulo. This ball is in. At the most proud moment in Nanhan, Su Luo led the national youth and still did not give up. He fiercely stabbed a deadly sword into Nanhan's heart. National Youth League tied the score 2-2. The game is not over yet. On the stands of Trabzon Stadium, a name has already echoed neatly. Sulo. 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 Chapter 5. The hero who defeated the Bangzi team and was exiled. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sun Xingqian knelt weakly on the ground, panting heavily. He, like other South Han players, thought that the opponent had sent off one person, which is a huge historical difference. This game should be stable, half of the foot has already reached the finals. Even the TV commentator who was far away from the first bait began to imagine the opponent in the final. I'm thinking, will the opponent in the final encounter France? It's probably France, Smithsonian. Well, players like Borgba, Kant, Coman, and Dembele are all quite strong, they are simply the golden generation. Our Dahan football is not bad either, maybe we still have to play. The opponent Guqin on the field now has not been taken seriously by the Bangzi commentator. 3-1 lead plus a numerical advantage, my team is responsible for all the units, including the ball certificate, supporting evidence, as well as the organizers and cooperative classes. How can the local youth compete with me in the cold? The reason why Nanhan was able to make an exception and recruit Sun Xingqian in this year's World Youth Championship is because he made it to the top 4. They do have enough confidence. But the next second, the situation suddenly turned upside down. Firstly, the Chinese national youth launched a fast attack in the backcourt, and Su Xian from the midfield passed a long pass directly to find Su Luo from the front. Magical Su Luo successfully turned offside and quickly shook off the defender. Facing the goalkeeper calmly, he used a long-lost pendulum style to cross the ball. He passed the goalkeeper and broke into the penalty area, scoring an empty goal. In the 72nd minute of the game, Su Luo scored his 9th goal of the tournament. Helped the national youth level 2.2. This is not over yet. Taking advantage of the turbulent morale of the South Korean army, there was a slight moment of confusion. Sulo stood up again. He accelerated and rushed up without warning after the opponent kicked off. Successfully intercepted. Next, Su Luo began his performance. In the midfield, he rode his bike and crashed, forcefully passing Sun Xingqian along the sidelines. Then he hit the ball with his heel and cut inside. In the close-door pincer between the waist and the full back, he poked his toe and took the lead to get between the two. He aggressively dribbled the ball towards the goal, causing the opposing center back to panic and quickly come up to tackle. Su Luo easily dribbled the ball and dodged it under his feet, continuing to make an unreasonable run to the front of the penalty area. The other defender didn't hesitate to take over, grabbed his jersey and tried to drag him directly to the ground. Anyway, the referee won't give a penalty. Unexpectedly, when Su Luo lost his center of gravity, he strangely completed a stabbing shot. The football passes through the goalkeeper's small goal and drills into the net. Less than 2 minutes after equalizing, Su Luo scored another goal. Reversed the score. Hat trick. Solo's hat trick. This game has turned into his personal show. Alone in Long Tan, he defeated 7 opponents. Successfully completed the comeback. He's like a god of war, unstoppable. He can single-handedly pierce through the entire defense line of Nanhan. Shen Fengjian was extremely excited, and even more so were the fans watching the game on site. Many people fly thousands of miles to Turkey to cheer on the rare Chinese youth who have made it to the competition. Sulo did not disappoint everyone's expectations. Presented a magical performance. Like Sun Xingqian's gaze, the other South Han players were all stunned at this moment. Ah she! How could it be? Strictly investigate. It must be drug use. The South Han commentator of Showing TV also sighed, and his tone was full of sourness. But where did this come from? They couldn't even imagine that Su Luo's scoring performance didn't stop. Just 5 minutes later, in the 79th minute of the game, Su Luo faced the enemy's 3-point trap, turned around with Cruyff to get rid of it, and shot with a burst from outside the penalty area. The football hit the lower edge of the crossbeam and bounced up inside the goal line. The goalkeeper clung to the ball in a daze. The national youth players were originally celebrating, but this goal was called invalid by the referee. The reason is that the football did not cross the goal line. The referee's shamelessness made Su Luo grin even harder. Do you think blowing off this ball can walk the bat to the finals? Dreaming. In the 83rd minute of the game, Su Xian intercepted the ball and dribbled Su Luo without thinking. Sulo took advantage of the situation and threw the ball into the penalty area from his ribs. His speed is too fast, even the batsman can't even release the shovel in time. Sulo faced the goalkeeper and shot hard into the top corner of the goal. The football was hit with a sonic boom. The goalkeeper was temporarily deaf from the explosion. 4-2. Big 4. The referee is powerless to score such a clean and decisive goal. The South Korean team was completely blinded. The Showing TV station is quiet like a library. The South Han players on the field, including Sun Xingqian and Lu Qingyu, immediately fell into deep confusion. Is this still a well-known Chinese player? In the 87th minute of the game, Su Luo took advantage of his opponent's loss and shot a cold arrow outside the penalty area. The football formed a high-speed spinning ground slam, swiftly piercing into the bottom corner of the goal with lightning speed. 5-2. Duzhong 5 Yuan. Killing crazy. Su Luo has already gone crazy. He scored the 12th goal of this tournament, completely ending the game. In the desperate situation of playing one player at a young age in China, Su Luo, the god of heaven, came down to earth and saved the team. Now it can be announced in advance that the Chinese youth team will successfully meet with France. The final of the Sword Finger. Only scored 5 goals and led the team to the final of the 2013 World Youth Championship with one's own strength. Sulo also pre-booked the Golden Boot for this tournament, becoming a promising new star. After the game, Nanhan suffered a humiliating defeat and returned home. As the best 10-point player of the game, Su Luo is full of energy when facing a TV interview. Even if our opponent is France, we have confidence in winning the championship. At this moment, all Chinese fans are eagerly anticipating this superstar. Perhaps the national youth team can really create miracles in the final. Winning the first heavyweight championship for the Chinese national football team in decades. In the dark abyss of the national football team, Su Luo seems to have reignited the flames, bringing hope to everyone. But the next development is simply baffling. A week later, at the press conference before the World Youth Championship final, Chinese youth head coach Yang Kovic announced with a regretful expression. Player Su Luo has been stripped of his qualification to participate in the competition due to violating team discipline, and has been unanimously decided by the management of the Football Association. He will face a penalty of 10 matches suspension within the Football Association. He will not be able to participate in the final against France. In an instant, the whole world was in an uproar. Despite having such an outstanding and amazing player, their form is at its peak. Saying to suspend the game is like a mysterious operation. Even if Su Luo violated the rules, he should still go to war. What exactly is the situation? This matter became the biggest unsolved mystery in world football in July 2013. Chapter 6. National Youth and Evergrande do not want. Ye run, go. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Outside the gate of the National Youth Training Base, players such as Su Xian, Wu Xinghan, and Fang Jingqi watched the young man in front of them with complex expressions. His slender figure was also stretched long in the sunset. But Su Luo had a smile on her face, there is no sense of desolation in him. On the contrary, these teammates who stayed in the national youth were much more lonely than him. Go back quickly, what are you doing here? Be careful, the leader will punish you again. Su Luo, why don't I find someone else to plead with the team leader and ask you to return to the team? Yeah, this time you led the team to the finals, why do you say you're fired? We all went to the nightclub, why did we specifically punish you? It's too unfair, I must go find them. Su Luo stopped with his bag on his back, looking helplessly at these teammates. After spending more than 2 months together, although we may not be friends, we are also teammates fighting side by side. If it weren't for their hard defense from behind, Su Luo wouldn't have scored 5 goals in a row to break through the Nanhan team. This is a personal issue for the team leader and oneself, there is no need to involve them all. Alright, after you disband, you should also train well. What should you do? I'm not living well, even if I can't play in the Chinese Super League, I can still play abroad. Speaking of which, these players also suddenly realized. Yeah, with Su Luo's level, we can definitely find opportunities abroad, right? Perhaps they have escaped from the polluted environment of the national football team, going abroad for development can actually create a broader sky. Thinking of this, other players also showed no sympathy for Suolo, and instead felt a bit envious. Get lost. Go abroad and play well. That's right, we can't go out anymore. It's up to you to bring glory to our country. Lord Luo, I'll ask Atletico Madrid for a trial later. Su Xian patted his chest to ensure. Okay, I'll take note. I'll go to Madrid and have a drink with you if I have a chance. Alright, everyone is destined to meet in the martial arts world. Goodbye. Goodbye. Su Luo turned around with an indifferent smile, raised his arms, and gradually disappeared from sight. Can Lord Luo really kick it out? I don't know, I hope so. After the ups and downs of the World Youth Championship, the players on the field were all confused about their future. Su Luo, who has gone far away, will either disappear completely from here or shine brightly in the world. Everyone knows that he is definitely not an ordinary person. Xinlang Sports News. Recently, the Chinese Football Association's United Nations Youth Coaching Team officially announced at a press conference that, the top scorer of this year's Turkey World Youth Championship, Su Luo, was dismissed from the youth team immediately after a unanimous decision by the management due to his leading violation of team discipline, causing a negative impact. The national team and all levels of the team will no longer recruit Su Luo. Subsequently, Yangqing Evergrande Club also issued a statement stating that U18 youth team player Suolo had a negative impact on the club's reputation during international competitions, and officially cancelled his contract renewal with Suolo. Suolo will become a free agent on July 31 at 0:00 sharp. As the best team member of the World Youth Championship, Golden Boot winner of the World Youth Championship, and FMVP winner of the World Youth Championship, Suolo's performance has surpassed many young players such as Pogba, Dembele, Sun Xingqian, and Isco, become the most shining star of hope in the entire World Youth Championship. According to Guo Bingyan, the head coach of the national youth team, after Su Luo scored 5 goals alone and reversed the miraculous night of the South Han team, he took the lead in encouraging his teammates to go to the local nightclub, seriously violating team discipline. And during the dispute, there have been negative words and actions towards the team leader and the football association. A player with such stubborn behavior is not worthy of playing for a national team. According to the journalist survey questionnaire, over 90% of fans who watched the World Youth Championship expressed their support for Su Luo and questioned the hasty decision of the national youth team. Fan leader Mr. Wu said, "Sulo Mingming is the most hardworking player on the field, always actively running for opportunities for 90 minutes. And his talent is enough to elevate him to world-class heights. The handling of the Chinese Football Association and the Chinese youth team seems a bit hasty, which is also the reason why the Chinese youth team suffered a devastating 0-6 defeat to France in the final, setting a record for the largest difference in points in the final. Losing Su Luo, the performance of the national youth is nothing but a joke. Why don't everyone else handle it and only target Su Luo? Guiqing really doesn't even want his face." In the eyes of fans, Su Luo's performance is a hero as he reverses and defeats the South Han team, breaking the 40-year-long fear of Korea. Many netizens left comments online supporting Su Luo, but the Chinese Youth League and the Chinese Football Association did not respond to this. The Chinese national football team accidentally saw a glimmer of light in the darkness, but unfortunately, it was just a shooting star that quickly plunged back into darkness. Where is the future of the Chinese national football team? Can Sulo continue to appear on the field in the future? We can only leave it to time to answer. In the scorching summer, Jiangqing is extremely hot and stuffy at the end of July. Both parents have gone to work, and Su Luo is a bit idle at home. The computer on the desk is still the old and dilapidated game book of the God of War. Accustomed to future masterpieces such as Old Man's Ring, God of War, Call of Duty 19, and Marvel Spider-Man, the current computer games are a bit unattractive. The only ancient Scroll 5 that can be played, Give Him Love 5, Su Luo has long been tired of playing. At present, it is still the summer vacation of the first year of high school, and Su Luo almost took a leave of absence to participate in the World Youth Championship last semester. High school classmates are not very familiar with each other and do not have very good playmates. Actually, these are not important. Most importantly, there have been no scouts or clubs contacting me yet. I thought that after being hired by Evergrande, I could immediately find a job. Go abroad for trial training, challenge talented young people from all walks of life, and shine at the pinnacle of Europe. The result is nothing. Is the best shooter of the World Youth Championship so low in value? Is it a case of breaking ties with the national youth leader and accusing him of cleverly claiming to collect stolen money? But the national youth will not affect foreign clubs either. There has been no news from Su Xian of Atletico Madrid, and Su Luo didn't expect him anyway. Su Xian can't even play the game himself, how can he help himself? Calling the agent, this bald and chubby guy was always perfunctory. After asking, Xiao Su, I know you're in a hurry, but don't worry for now. After all, they are only agents sent by Evergrande, so it is impossible for them to care about themselves. Su Luo simply terminated his contract early and fired his agent. So the question is, can we only return to the old path of our past lives, do well in the college entrance examination and become an ordinary person? At this moment, Su Luo suddenly received a number from Xian Jiapa. This is usually fraud, and Su Luo didn't hesitate to hang up. I didn't expect the bell to ring again. Continue hanging up. In 1 minute here we go again. The third time, it's still the same number. This scammer is really persistent, isn't he? Suolo was laughing in anger and picked up the phone casually. I said you should scam and find someone else, any scams are useless to me. Excuse me, is this Mr. Su? We are a German club and we have a trial opportunity here. Are you interested? The emphasis on the other end of the phone is very stiff, like crooked fruit kernels who have only been learning Chinese for a short time. I have to admit that even if it's a fraudulent phone call, it's difficult for Su Luo not to fall for it. The words, trial training, and Germany, are already attractive enough. Chapter 7. He is more confident than Cristiano Ronaldo. The scout was stunned. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The impact of the World Youth Championship has rapidly dissipated in less than a week. Whether it's winning France or the largest dark horse national youth team of this year, they have not caused any substantial impact on society. Even most people are unaware of the Turkey World Youth Championship. Only a few fans witnessed Su Luo's magical performance through live or television broadcasts. He scored 5 goals in a desperate situation and led the national youth team to defeat the South Han team in the game. It also became the only color in the darkness of the Chinese national football team throughout 2013. Due to the rapid change of the internet, people also quickly forget Suolo. A very small number of fans are desperately refreshing all transfer news, refreshing the official websites of major European clubs, but have never seen any information about Suolo. In addition, the double blow of being expelled from Evergrande and the Chinese national football team. Is this genius just a flash in the pan? That would be a pity. Renowned commentator Zhang Jun stated on Weibo. This summer's World Youth Championship, 16-year-old player Su Luo has left a deep impression on everyone. Setting aside the final, he is definitely a promising star to join a prestigious club. However, as far as I know, he has not yet had any contact with any clubs. We may have witnessed another meteor-like genius. This is indeed a regret for Chinese football. In fact, there are indeed clubs that have contacted Suolo. It is not ruled out that other clubs have contacted Evergrande, but Evergrande has not taken any action. Everyone tried to find Su Luo but couldn't find him, and it ultimately came to an end. In South America, Europe, even Japan and South Korea, there are so many football talents, and there is no shortage of Su Luo. In addition, Chinese football players have always been infamous, no club really delves into it. Except for the only team currently in contact with Suolo himself. By the way, Lolo, what did you call that club? Why haven't I heard of it? Yeah, don't be a scammer anymore. How about we take the college entrance examination well and don't go? At night, on the dining table. A family of 3 gathered together, and Su Luo announced a major decision. He's going to Germany. Go to Berlin. The parents did not explicitly object, but expressed great concern. Sulo could only patiently explain. It's Berlin United, ranked 7th in the German 2nd Division last season, a regular team, not a scammer. He tried to make himself confident as much as possible to avoid his parents asking too many questions. Contacting his own scout, he is a young Germanic, and it is evident that he has not been learning Chinese for long. Every time he speaks, he has to think for a while and occasionally mixes some English. That's right, Su Luo has met him before. This guy actually ran to Jiangxing alone. In such a hurry, Su Luo really doubted whether he would encounter a scammer. But he still decided to take a gamble. Compared to losing a waist, and losing a shared dream of 2 generations. Sulo would rather lose a waist. Of course, it's best to keep your waist. Dad, Mom, that foreigner is in Jiangxing and he seriously invited me to their club for a trial. It's not about what the Bundesliga teams are like. The Bundesliga is already great, even if it's an 8th level team, I'm willing to go out and play football. I can take the college entrance examination any year, but playing football. Maybe this is just one chance. Parents looked at each other in confusion. They all know their child's football dream from a young age, otherwise they wouldn't have spent a lot of money to send him to Hengtai football school, thousands of miles away. At the World Youth Championship, they also sat in front of the TV and saw the child perform excellently. If this is a child's dream, they don't necessarily want him to take the college entrance exam and embark on the path of an ordinary person. Okay, you can call that Stan over and let's have a meal together. Jiangqing Tianhe International Airport. Sulo carried her bag and suitcase. A young scout named Daniel Stan, who looks polite, is helping him with his boarding pass. In the future, it may be difficult for Su Luo to return to China and reunite, it's better to leave precious time for their family. My parents eventually agreed to go to Germany. Sulo's heart was filled with reluctance, but more importantly, excitement for the future. When you arrive over there, remember to put these 2 cans of meat sauce in the refrigerator and distribute the dried fruits you brought to the club friends. Don't eat all sorts of food, cook for yourself when you have time. Get along well with the leader and don't talk back anymore. I often call my family when I have nothing to do, but your dad keeps nagging me about you. It's clearly you talking on your own. Cough cough, Su Luo, just play well over there. We're still young, so you don't have to worry. Compared to my mother's nagging, my father only has 1 sentence. They are no longer young and have white hair on their heads. Well, I see. You guys go back quickly. I can take care of myself. Passing over the security checkpoint, watching the old couple gradually disappearing into the shadows and waving non-stop, Su Luo's first time traveling to a foreign land, it is inevitable to have some feelings of separation. Scout Daniel Stan is a typical German. He looked at Su Luo, but didn't know what to say. He didn't speak until the plane took off. Su, I have watched all your matches. There is one question that I am most puzzled about. What? In some cases, why would you choose to shoot directly when there is a better chance of passing or waiting for a chance to reorganize? Daniel awkwardly smiled. Although these goals were ultimately scored, our head coach may feel that your choice was too hasty. It should be okay to pass the trial, but you need to seize the opportunity to play on your own. For Daniel's question, Suolo also finds it difficult to explain. He can only use newly learned German, jumping out 1 word at a time. Because when I shoot, I must score. Hiss, what a big breath. Daniel Stan believes that Real Madrid's top star Cristiano Ronaldo is already the most confident and conceited star he has ever seen, but now this 16-year-old is even more confident than Ronaldo. I'm too confident, right? Who dares to say that they must score when shooting? Probably not familiar with German yet, using the wrong word. Little did they know that Su Luo did not speak big. He has completely touched his golden finger. As long as the conditions are met and the goal is guaranteed, it is truly 100% goal scoring. Chapter 8. The Peak of the Great Luo Attachment. Evolvable Gold. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The system that Su Luo was hoping for did not appear, just providing assistance by secretly rubbing and rubbing in this golden finger style. According to Su Luo's summary, the golden finger has a total of 3 functions. 1 is the training ground I saw before. You can generate a mirror image of Ronaldo and learn various movements such as passing, stopping, shooting, etc. from him. And it can generate corresponding teammate images based on one's own team. For example, in the past, all the players generated were national youth teammates. You can play a warm-up game in the illusion. Otherwise, one can only be mercilessly abused by Daluo. After winning the runner-up in the World Youth Championship, Su Luo seemed to be by Daluo's side and saw a faint phantom. That is to say, in the future, we will summon a second star to learn his abilities. If it's a star at the same level as Ronaldo, then it's amazing. It's equivalent to all legendary football stars around the world becoming Su Luo's teachers. Secondly, in the official competition, it is possible to invite Daluo to become an accessory. In the possession state, Su Luo can become the pinnacle Daluo 100%. However, this state often cannot last for too long, no more than 10 minutes, I'm not sure if we can extend the time in the future. Of course, being possessed by Dalglish for 10 minutes is enough for Su Luo to walk horizontally in the top league. Besides, there are other star attachments. Thirdly, it is the most mystical point. Even if not in an attached state, as long as you focus enough and enter the state of selflessness, the subsequent shots are bound to score. This is what Su Luo can't understand the most, it's simply a weapon of causality. No matter how far away, no matter what angle, no matter how many defensive players are around, no matter whether the goalkeeper is hanging or not, as long as you hit the door, you must enter. There won't be any deviation. Even if there is a wall in front of me. Football will also score in some unexpected way after repeated bounces. A proper metaphysical shot. Of course, in the ever-changing and intense competition on the field, it is already difficult for players to calm down. That kind of mystical state is also something that can be encountered but not sought after, and is seen by Su Luo as a passive skill. However, there are 3 clear conditions that can significantly increase the probability of triggering metaphysical passivity. 1. The more exciting the emotions are during important matches, derby battles, and grudges, the easier it is to trigger them. 2. Every unsuccessful shot seems to stack a buff, and the more times it stacks, the easier it is to trigger. According to Su Luo's calculation, as long as 5 shots are missed, the 6th shot will inevitably trigger a passive. Of course, this is only the most times he has tried, usually 2 or 3 times is also possible. 3. The closer the game is to the end, or the greater the difference in conceded goals, the easier it is to trigger. In summary, the above is the golden finger usage instructions summarized by Su Luo. Without a system, it's just so cumbersome, but after understanding the rules, it's still quite convenient. 1 training, 2 attachments, 3 passive 100%, it's very simple. Before joining the new club, Su Luo has already started to have expectations for the future. Su, wake up, we're almost there. Feeling someone pushing her in her sleep, Su Luo woke up and looked out the window. I was instantly stunned by the scene outside the train. The train in motion has just passed through the bustling center of Berlin. Tall buildings stand tall, skyscrapers are bright and beautiful, luxury stores, cafes, small budget restaurants, bars, nightclubs, etc., filled with the extravagant atmosphere of capital. In less than a minute, the train seemed to have instantly traveled to another country. Abandoned factories, dilapidated and dirty streets, rusty steel frames, and mottled exterior walls, how prosperous it was before, how depressed it is now. Just a narrow gap creates 2 completely different worlds. In fact, this urban landscape exists in many industrialized cities in Europe. Berlin is undoubtedly the most special one. What is? Where is this? Su Luo asked in broken German. Seeing Su Luo's confusion, Scout Daniel explained in Chinese. In a more understandable way, the landmark building you just passed by is the Berlin Wall. The part of the wall is the former West Germany. The area we are now in is the former East Germany, which is the democratic camp. Sulo also studied high school history and knew about the past of the Berlin Wall after World War II. Previously, I only saw stiff and cold words in books and couldn't feel the difference between the 2 Germanys. Now, the scene before him somewhat shook him. The upcoming team is a representative of East German democratic spirit and the working class, FC Berlin. In this street filled with a sense of time, Suolo seemed to still hear the powerful slogans of the past. I didn't expect to find the feeling of the 1960s in this foreign land. Jingsu's tearful eyes. The vehicle was about to stop at the station, and Daniel got up to go to the luggage rack to help Sulo retrieve the heavy luggage. Sulo seems to have seen him smile for the first time. Welcome to Berlin, welcome to the world of workers. Chapter 9. Fans renovating the stadium on their own. It's amazing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Due to Daniel's other busy work, he threw himself in the training base building and hurriedly left. When we came home with Daniel before, our parents specifically explained it to us, let the club arrange cultural classes for oneself, so that while playing football, one cannot neglect their studies. Not to mention getting into college, at least obtaining a high school diploma is necessary. After consulting with the club manager, Daniel agreed to these requests. Due to the tight budget and understaffing of Berlin United, Daniel is not only a scout but also has to make a guest appearance as Suolo's life assistant. Help Su Luo find an apartment, help Su Luo find a German tutor, and help Su Luo get a local phone card. I still need to help Su Luo contact the school. For the sake of Su Luo, Daniel hasn't even gone out of town to inspect players recently. It made Su Luo feel a bit embarrassed. For their own sake, are they like this? Sulo sat in the reception hall of the training base office. I feel a bit idle. It is said that the coach took the whole team to the neighboring city for a training match. The pre-season training has already started, and the German Second Division League will also start at the end of August. The team needs to participate in more warm-up matches to recover their form. The facilities of the Berlin Joint Training Base are relatively rudimentary, with a two-story office building estimated to have a history of nearly 100 years. In some places, traces of World War II can still be seen. There is only one chubby lady busy in front of the computer in the hall, and Su Luo just asked, there is no Wi-Fi. He could only sit on the sofa, looking out at the training ground outside the window. It has to be said that the other facilities here are very rudimentary, but the grass is clean and smooth professional natural grass, which appears to have been maintained at a high cost. In the opposite direction of the training ground, you can see a sports stadium from a distance. May I ask what's over there? Su Luo asked in broken German. Hang Dama didn't look up and said, that's the old Forest Management Stadium, our home ground. Oh. Suoluo has nothing to do anyway, so she decided to run over and visit the battlefield of future struggles. However, walking on the road, Su Luo noticed that there were constantly pickup trucks carrying some building materials towards the stadium. There are also people carrying shovel, pickaxes and other tools along the road, and they are walking towards the stadium with great enthusiasm. The closer you get to the stadium, the more you can feel people coming from all directions. If they don't have tools on hand, it's as lively as a game day. What is the situation? Su Luo curiously arrived at the entrance of the stadium and happened to see a bald and chubby man shouting loudly with a loudspeaker. His voice was as loud as a bell, and according to the words that Su Luo could understand, seems to be directing these people to work. You too. Su Luo was taken aback and pointed to her nose, me. After the uncle said something, Su Luo couldn't understand a word and could only follow the bald chubby guy all the way to the inside of the stadium with a bewildered expression. At the moment of entering the stadium, Su Luo witnessed a bustling scene. People dressed differently waved their tools in their hands, neatly shouting slogans, and bustled around the stadium stands. Sulo followed Uncle Pang to the stadium stand, which was elevated. Some steps and seats had been removed, and bricks and cement were needed to renovate the stand. Uncle Pang pointed to the pile of bricks next to him and gestured to help as soon as possible. Su Luo finally realized that Uncle seemed to have misunderstood something. But the atmosphere has reached this point, so he decided to join the busy team and help move bricks with the uncles and aunties around him. Quickly, the skilled worker has already stacked the bricks. I believe it won't be long before this is a brand new grandstand. Busy all afternoon, the sun has turned dim yellow. The bald and chubby uncle picked up the loudspeaker and shouted a few incomprehensible slogans, causing the whole audience to shout loudly. Everyone is as excited as scoring a goal. Before leaving, the uncle handed Su Luo a bottle of chilled beer from the ice bucket and patted his shoulder with a silly smile. Although Su Luo is very tired, in this busy working atmosphere, she can feel a kind of positive energy instead. He had to be more curious about this club. Just now, it was obvious that the fans came spontaneously to help with the work, and judging from their proficiency, it was not the first time they had renovated the stadium. In the current era of Jin Yuan football, how can professional teams continue in this way? After a busy afternoon, I just walked out of the Old Forest Management Stadium. But he saw Daniel looking for him. After understanding the situation, Daniel, who has always been strict with his words and laughter, rarely burst out laughing. Uncle Hans took you to renovate the stadium. Haha, you haven't officially signed yet. He doesn't recognize you and thought you were a fan. Later, after Daniel's explanation, Su Luo finally understood what kind of club he had come to. The story can be traced back to 1961, when the Cold Berlin Wall divided Berlin in half. From that day on, this team located in East Germany also had a deeper significance. This is a team belonging to the workers. It represents the cry, struggle, and unity of the working class. The team also changed its name from Obersenwild to Berlin United. For over 40 years, this team was simply an anomaly in the world of football. They refuse any form of capital and do not accept advertising sponsorship. The team relies entirely on the fans to survive. This is a club belonging to the proletariat. Unfortunately, the enormous financial pressure has repeatedly left Berlin United at a loss. In 2008, the stadium was dilapidated, and over 2,300 fans spontaneously organized brick by brick to renovate the stadium. Only 6 of them are real construction workers, while the others are teachers, nurses, salespeople. They managed to accomplish this feat with just 140,000 hours of work. This year, in order to meet the requirements of the German Second Division League, fans have once again organized and renovated the stands. Coincidentally, Su Luo hit this historic moment. What moved Su Luo the most was not this. In 2004, Berlin United was on the brink of bankruptcy, unable to even hold a cash reserve of 1.46 million euros to qualify for regional leagues. In this desperate situation, fans spontaneously organized an event called Berlin United Blood Transfusion. That's right, it's literally blood transfusion. Tens of thousands of fans have come to the blood station to donate blood. Hand over all the income earned from selling blood to the club. Combined with the club's jerseys and ticket revenue, the team was finally able to survive. This is a genuine club built with the blood of fans. This is a completely grassroots team. At home games, we won't play any entertainment, advertisements, or music. We can only hear the fans singing and shouting. But we have the cheapest sausages in Germany, free beer on game days, and the cutest fans in the world. Sulo, I hope one day your name can also ring from the stands of the Old Forest Management Stadium. Yes, Daniel. Sulo turned around and looked at the seemingly rudimentary stadium. I believe it will happen soon. Chapter 10. No forwards available. How about letting Dongfang Xiaoxiao? You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a simple signing ceremony, Su Luo officially became a member of the Berlin United U18 youth team. Head coach Uwe Neuhaus still leads the first team to practice outside, without even showing up. It was signed by football director Nick Schaefer and youth training director Andreev with Solo. Schaefer also hurriedly left with a polite smile. Only this skinny old furry German Andreev looked very happy. Daniel has previously revealed that he strongly recommends the club to sign Solo. Welcome to join the team. Let me take you to visit the training base, as those young men are also going to train today. Okay, Mr. Andreev. Just call me German. The atmosphere of the club is quite relaxed, everyone is a family. Despite being a fighting nation, it is quite strange to be called Germany, and have lived in Berlin for nearly 30 years. The two of them chatted about Solo's contract on the way. Su Luo initially signed a contract as a young player, with a weekly salary of only 1,100 euros. The 60 square meter single apartment he currently rents only costs around 430 euros per month, making it more than enough to live comfortably in Berlin. However, if you want to truly make money, you still need to play more games and score more goals. The appearance fee is 250 euros, the goal bonus is 200 euros, and the weekly salary can increase to €1,300 after 30 appearances. Of course, these are just small amounts of money. If you really want to earn more, you have to work hard to play in the first team. At present, the top salary for the first team is Swiss international Mario Ijman, with a weekly salary of around €12,000. It looks quite a lot, compared to the top league teams, it is much more shabby. After all, clubs belong to the proletariat and are inherently poor. I don't know if the club situation will improve after playing in the Champions League. Su Luo accidentally blurted out. German Andreev was slightly taken aback, as Berlin United was still struggling in the middle of the German second division and unable to advance to the Bundesliga. Looking up at the Champions League was somewhat outrageous. But he did not mock his impracticality. This fighting nation instead patted Su Luo's shoulder heavily. Su, it's up to you to challenge for the Champions League. Your talent is really helpful to the team. Don't worry, German, I will do it. Sulo is very confident. As long as he is not prohibited from going to the nightclub. Even if German Andreev were killed, he wouldn't have thought, the polite young man from the east in front of him will completely lead his youth team astray. Time flies, and in the blink of an eye, the fire of the 2013-2014 season of the German Second Division League has already started. The head coach of the Berlin United first team, Uwe Neuhaus, has a worried expression all day long, and his once grey hair is now not even black. The club's renovation of the stadium is funded by the fans, so naturally they don't have the money to buy players everywhere. The current lineup is either free to sign or a youth team member. The most valuable striker is Simon Trode, who is worth €1.9 million. This tall man has played 60 times in 3 seasons and scored 18 goals. This is already the top scorer of the team. The biggest problem with the Berlin coalition is the severe lack of offensive firepower. Most of the points from last season were obtained by drawing 0.0 with the opponent, and occasionally winning is a small score of 1.0. There are very few games that have won by scoring more than 2 goals. It's not that the players don't fight, nor is it that the players don't unite. Berlin United can be said to be the most hardworking and united team in the German second division. They can all come together as a whole, compete for every ball, and cooperate harmoniously. But there are always shortcomings in passing and shooting just before the goal. Coach Uwe Neuhaus also understands the team's problems, but what can be done about it? Local players with a bit of talent have all been signed by Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund. A talented South American player with the lowest starting value of millions of euros. Getting 5 million yuan from the club is enough, it's like dying for 10 million yuan. A clever woman cannot cook without rice. Neuhaus' hands are all single rows without consecutive numbers, not even a pair, let alone Shunzi and bombs. Is that how the board of directors still wants me to compete in the Bundesliga? With a head up. The German second division has currently played 10 rounds, with Berlin United winning 3, drawing 2, and losing 5, accumulating 11 points and currently ranking 14th in the German second division. The distance from the downgrade zone is only 3 points away. Not to mention competing in the Bundesliga, Neuhaus can only do his best to avoid relegation. The house leaks, but it rains continuously at night. Watching the 10th round of a 6-point battle against relegation rival, Sandhausen, the main striker Steven Sksipski was injured. Recurrence of old groin injury during training, absent for at least 2 months. What a special size. Shit. Neuhaus erupted in the anger of the FU Hrer, almost about to mess with Billy. He weakly removed his reading glasses and looked around at the silent coaching staff. You said, is there anyone who can replace me? It's urgent. The assistant coaches present all lowered their heads. The team already has 2 legitimate forwards, but as the head coach, you still prefer to play 4.4.2. The rest are all left and right wingers, and I managed to make a guest appearance as a center forward before, but the results were not very good. How about we change the formation? Recently, there has been a trend of 3 center-backs. We can try 3.4-2.1, maybe it will have a miraculous effect. Assistant coach Hofschner suggested weekly. We have been playing 4.4.2 for over 3 months with pre-season training, so the risk of hasty changes is too high. Neuhaus frowned, he didn't really like changing formations, and then reluctantly let go. However, if there is really no candidate, that's all we can do. At this moment, youth training director Andreev proposed. I have a good young talent here who has performed exceptionally well in the youth team and can fully adapt to the rhythm of the first team. However, Andreev smiled awkwardly. Coach Neuhaus instantly understood and knew who he was talking about. Joining the youth team for 2 months, no one in the club knows his name. That young man from the east. Although he is half an angel and half a devil, why not let him try?